So this is the XLAT, a click latency measurement tool developed by Finalmouse, and you will be eventually able to buy this from them together with the sleek looking aluminum case. But what if I told you you can actually build one for yourself right now? Yes, you heard it right. They made this open source, and you can download the firmware from their GitHub page, and they also made some nice instructions to build one. So grab yourself a cup of coffee and follow along, let's build one together. First things first, go to the instructions page on their GitHub from the link 1 in the description. Then you need some components. The main board is the STM32F746G Discovery Kit. You can get one from pretty much every big electronics retailer online. I got mine from Mauser. It arrived in like 2 days and cost around 60 euros shipped, but choose the one that suits you the best. When you have the main board, we can flash the newest firmware to it. On the instructions page, there are basically 2 different options of flashing, and I went with their recommended route here. So go to link 2 and we go from there. First, download the ST-Link drivers and install them. Then download the J-Link software package. And then download the jerrorr ST-Link reflash utility. Then we can start the reflash utility and press A to accept the terms. Then press 1 and enter to confirm we want to upgrade to J-Link. Then wait a couple of seconds or minutes and it will update your board to J-Link. Next, we will install the J-Link software, so find your downloaded installer and start it. Select install a new instance and press next. Then click install and wait for the installer to complete. Then press OK and finish. Then we can actually flash the newest firmware to the board, so head over to link 3 and download their newest firmware of the XLAT. Then extract it somewhere on your computer. Then launch the J-Link software, which is called just J-Link on the install folder. Then type connect and press enter. Then it will ask you for the device name, so type in STM32F746NG and press enter. Then type in S and press enter. Then to confirm the default speed, press enter. Then type in load file and your install location of the extracted firmware file and press enter. Then type R and press enter, then type G and press enter, and lastly type in Q and press enter. And now you have the firmware installed. Congrats! Then we need to do some tiny hardware modifications to the board. So flip the board upside down and you'll see a couple of these black connectors. We need to plug in a 10-pin 2.54mm pin header to it. Then we need some wire, cable shrink tubing, soldering iron and some solder. Cut an appropriate sized piece of the wire and strip the ends with the wire stripper. If you have a dual cable like I have, separate them a bit and put in 2 good pieces of cable shrink tubing to be ready. Then solder a black cable, which will be your ground wire, to the pin 7, which is the 4th pin from the left. Then short the pin 4 and 5 together, which are your 6th and 7th pins from the left. You can do this with just solder or some wire. Then solder the red wire to the shorted pin 4 and 5. Then pull the cable shrink tubing on top of the solder joints and apply some heat to shrink them appropriately. So now the board looks like this. Then let's do a mechanical stress relief point using a RCA connector of the board and secure the cable to it with a small zip tie. Now we just need a connector of your choice to be able to quickly connect the cable that will go to your mouse with the board. I found this pretty neat quick connector, and when the connector is in place, we can put it in a case as well. I found this 3D file to print from Thingiverse, which is also linked below. It was a pretty good file with minimal post-processing needed, but this part is purely optional. If you decide to print it, you need to make a small slot for your cable to go through, and I had to do some filing to get the front cover to fit properly. But yeah, it should be a fairly snug fit, and make sure it sits flush with the edges of the board. Then just screw the whole package together with I believe I used an M3x16mm screws for this. So yeah, get those as well. Then we need to just prepare the cable that will be attached to the mouse that is tested. So cut an appropriate amount of cable, strip it, and put the connector on the other end. Then you can solder this cable every time you want to test a mouse, or optionally you can attach some alligator clips to the other end. This will help a lot, especially with mechanical switches, but on some opticals you might need to just solder the cables because Your switches don't have pins. Then choose a mouse you want to test and open it. Plug in the mini USB cable to the XLAT and the other end to an 5V USB charger. Plug in a micro USB OTG cable to the leftmost USB port and plug your USB receiver or the USB cable of your mouse to that. Right here I have the Xtrify MZ1 PCB and we'll just attach the ground cable. So the black one on the top pin labeled C for common of the switch, and then the red cable to the middle pin of the switch labeled NO, so normally open. And now we're basically done here. To initiate the test, just click the mouse, or if the mouse supports it, press the trigger button on the touch screen, which will then electronically actuate the switch for you, so you don't need to click the switch 1,000 times for the test. Now you can see the latest measurement, the average result and the standard deviation on the screen. Pressing clear will clear the results and pressing reboot will reboot the system. In the settings page you can also set correct settings for your mouse. But that's about it. Now you have a working XLAT and happy measuring. If you have any questions, post them below and I try my best to answer them. But thanks for watching and see you on the next video, which will be on Friday with a mouse review. So goodbye.